Story 1. The Forbidden Floor. I live in an old building with 4 floors, but last night I saw the elevator go to a 5th. I was standing in the lobby when the elevator moved on its own. The floor display blinked. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. But it didn't stop. It kept going into nowhere. The next day I decided to check. The 5th button is still missing, but on the panel there's a faint shadow as if it had been erased. I placed my phone inside the elevator, hit 4, then stepped out. The doors closed. Seconds later, the elevator moved upward. The next morning, a black phone lay in the lobby. Not mine. No SIM card. 1 video on it. 5 floor. On the video, a corridor, worn-out doors, flickering lights. The camera approaches a door with a sign, 47B. It's slightly ajar. I started asking the neighbors about this 5th floor. The old lady from the 1st floor said, "Boy, don't play with the house. It doesn't like people like you." Then she added that her husband once went up there. He said he heard the voice of his deceased brother. A week later, they found him in the basement, without his eyes. That night, the elevator opened by itself. The lights inside were on. I didn't want to go in, but the doors didn't close. They were waiting. I stepped out on the 5th floor. The lights don't work. Everything is gray, mold on the walls. The air smells of dampness and something rotten. And then I hear my own voice. "Why did you come?" from inside an apartment. I enter apartment 47B, but it's empty, and on the wall hangs a photo of me with a big inscription. "Visited the floor. Stayed here." I woke up in my apartment. Everything is as usual. The elevator works. The buttons, from 1 to 4. The 5th is gone. Only, the mirrors in the house no longer reflect me. There's emptiness. Only an inscription on the glass. "You stayed there. I am here now." Story 2. Call from Beyond. I never believed in the supernatural, at least not until that night. That long, insane night when the past returned to me through a voice I should never have heard again. The clock showed 3:17 a.m. when my phone screen lit up in the darkness of the bedroom. At such an hour, a call foretells nothing good. Drowsily reaching for the nightstand, I saw a name that sent cold sweat down my spine. Max calling. 5 years. 5 long years since Max crashed on his motorcycle. 5 years since we, his friends, drunk at his wake, decided to fulfill his old joke. "If I die first, put my phone in the coffin. Maybe there's reception there," he always said. Then in a fog of grief and alcohol, it seemed right to us, a final tribute to our Joker friend. The phone continued to vibrate in my hand. Max calling. The photo of his smiling face on the screen. I knew I shouldn't answer. Knew it must be some error, a system glitch, someone's cruel joke. But my fingers treacherously trembled, reaching for the green button. And at that moment, when fear wrestled with curiosity, I did something that changed my life forever. I answered, "Hello." My voice turned into a hoarse whisper. Silence. Just a strange noise in the background, like wind in the microphone or earth spilling onto a coffin lid. "Hey, who is this?" I asked louder, feeling the hair on the back of my neck stand up. And then I heard him. "Hey, buddy, long time no see." It was Max's voice. That same voice with its characteristic hoarseness and slight mockery. The voice of a man whom I had seen dead in a coffin 5 years ago. "You know, there really is reception here. You wouldn't believe it, but your idiotic joke actually works," he chuckled, and that familiar sound sent chills down my spine. "This isn't funny," I forced out. "Who is this? Come on, you know who this is. And I know what you're thinking right now, that this is a prank, that someone hacked an old account, that you're going crazy. It's simpler than that, my friend. I'm calling you from where you sent me." I wanted to hang up, but couldn't move. "What do you want?" I asked, feeling my heart pounding wildly. "For starters, to chat. 5 years without a single call. I'm bored here, you know." "This is impossible," I whispered. "Oh, it's quite possible. Technology, man. Amazing thing. You know what's strangest? The battery still holds. Eternal battery, can you imagine? I think it's because there's no signal most of the time." "Prove you're you," I demanded. Laughter came from the other end. "Remember our trip to Corellia in sophomore year? When you got drunk and confessed your love to Lena, and then spent all night throwing up under her windows? Only you and I know that, because I dragged you home and never told anyone." My mouth went dry. Indeed, no one else knew about that. "Or here's another one," continued the voice, becoming even more familiar and eerie. "Remember the phrase we came up with for our rock band in school? 3 chords in a soul on fire. We even carved it on the guitar that we never really learned to play properly." I started shaking. These were our secrets, our moments, things no one could know except Max. "Why are you calling?" I finally managed. "I need your help." Max's voice became serious. "It's not as fun here as I expected. You know, turns out there's something else after death, and it's not heaven or hell, like they told us. It's something different. And sometimes you can come back, if someone helps." The fingers gripping the phone turned white with tension. "You need to come to my grave, tonight, before dawn. Bring my things, the leather jacket, the one I crashed in, and the medallion you took after the funeral." "I can't," I whispered. "This is madness. You can't." A strange note appeared in his voice, something inhuman. "Or you don't want to help an old friend? You know I saw you crying at my funeral, how you swore you'd do anything to bring me back. Here's your chance." I didn't respond, paralyzed with horror. "Tick-tock, buddy, time's running out. I don't often manage to break through to here. And by the way, I can connect with others too. Yesterday I talked to Jane. Jane, my wife, who's currently on a business trip. She didn't tell you? Strange. Though maybe she hasn't had the chance yet, or she's afraid of scaring you. I made her an offer too, you know." "Leave her alone," I said, feeling fear giving way to anger. "Oh, that depends on you." That familiar Max-like mockery returned to his voice. "Come tonight, alone, and everything will be fine. Refuse? Well, then I'll have to find other ways to return." Jane seemed very sympathetic. "I dot. See you soon, buddy. Hurry up. You've only got a few hours." The connection broke, and I was left alone in the darkness, with the phone in my hand and terror gripping my throat. I never believed in the supernatural. Until that night. The night when my dead friend called me from the grave and said he wanted to come back. The cemetery greeted me with silence. It was around 5 in the morning, with an hour or less until dawn. The flashlight in my hand snatched the silhouettes of gravestones from the darkness, creating frightening shadows. I couldn't believe I was actually doing this. Digging out Max's leather jacket I'd kept all these years, grabbing his Celtic knot medallion from the keepsake box, and driving to the cemetery in the middle of the night. It was madness. And yet I walked forward until the beam of the flashlight caught a familiar gravestone from the darkness. Maxim Karpov, 1989 to 2020. Life is a road, and I always love speed. The grave looked undisturbed. No signs that someone or something had tried to escape from inside. Just a quiet mound of earth, a stone slab, and a photograph where Max smiled with his signature smirk. I placed the jacket and medallion on the grave. I'm here, I said into the void. What now? Silence. Only the wind rustled in the treetops. I took out my phone and dialed Max's number. Ringing, long, drawn-out rings. No one answered. Max! I called louder. I came like you wanted. Where are you? Suddenly, the phone in my hand came alive, not with a call, but with a flash. A bright light blinded me for a second, and when I could see again, I noticed something had changed. The earth on the grave was moving, slowly, almost imperceptibly, but it was moving, as if something underneath was trying to break free. I stepped back, my heart pounding so hard it felt like it might burst from my chest, and then I heard a humming. Not quite a sound, more like a vibration in the air that grew with each second. The jacket on the grave trembled. The medallion began to bounce. The phone in my hand flashed again, but this time I noticed a message from Max had appeared on the screen. Thanks for coming. Now complete the ritual. Blood on the medallion. Right now. I felt sick. What ritual? There was no talk of blood. No, I said aloud. This isn't what we agreed on. New message. Coward. Then I'll take what I need from Jane. She already almost believes me. Panic seized me. I fumbled in my pocket for the folding knife I had brought just in case. Opened it, held it above my palm. The thought of cutting myself in a cemetery in the pre-dawn hour to perform some terrible ritual made me nauseous. But the thought that this creature, because I already understood it wasn't Max, would get to Jane was unbearable. And then my phone rang. The screen displayed, Jane calling. I froze with the knife in my hand. What if this was it too? What if it had already reached her? With a trembling finger, I swiped the screen. Hello? My voice sounded strange, even to myself. Where are you? It was Jane's voice, worried but alive, real. I came back early and you're not home. It's 4 a.m. Jane, I exhaled with relief. Are you safe? Are you all right? Yes, of course, I'm just worried. Where are you? I looked at the grave. The earth had stopped moving. Jane, did anyone call you in the last few days? Strange calls. What are you talking about? Her voice sounded genuinely surprised. No strange calls. You're scaring me. I exhaled with relief, so it was a bluff. It had lied to me. Wait though, Jane suddenly said. Yesterday there was a missed call from an unknown number. I didn't call back. My heart froze again. Don't call back, I said firmly. Under no circumstances. I'll come right now and explain everything. I glanced at the grave, at the medallion lying on the jacket, at the phone in my hand, which still displayed the message. And suddenly it dawned on me. I bent down, picked up the medallion, stuffed it in my pocket, then took the jacket, threw it over my arm. Sorry, Max, I said to the grave, but you're dead, and you should stay dead. The phone in my hand suddenly became hot, scalding hot. I cried out and dropped it. The screen glowed bright red, and from the speaker came a sound like a scream, full of rage and pain. I backed away, then turned and ran from the grave, not looking back, clutching the jacket and medallion in my hand. By the time I reached the car, it was starting to dawn. I started the engine, turned on the headlights, and only then allowed myself to look in the rearview mirror. The cemetery behind me was calm and quiet. No movements, no lights or strange phenomena. On the way home, I threw the medallion into the river from a bridge. I burned the jacket in the forest, making sure nothing remained but ashes. And the phone. I left the phone on the grave and never returned there. A month passed. Life almost returned to normal. I bought a new phone, changed my number. Sometimes at night I thought I heard vibrations, but that was likely just an echo of the horror I had experienced. I had almost convinced myself that it was all a hallucination, the result of stress or an incipient nervous breakdown. Maybe I really was just going crazy, and I had imagined it all. But one evening, as Jane and I were watching TV, she suddenly asked, "By the way, remember when you mentioned strange calls? Today, some unknown number called me. I didn't answer." I froze. "Show me," I asked, feeling panic rising in my throat. She handed me her phone. In the list of missed calls was a number, Max's number. At that very second, the lights in the apartment flickered and went out. We were in complete darkness, only her phone screen glowing in my hand. And on that screen, a message suddenly appeared. "I'm not finished, buddy, and I have eternity ahead of me to reach you." And then the phone rang. "Thanks for watching."